What's happening, everybody? The Job Guys back with you one more time. Nitro Nick is here. Slope is here as well. And we're going to run it back one more time. As we always do, we love to do the anniversaries. And we got a big one right here. Since it's 2025, we're going to go back 35 years, which has kind of been a motto for us here lately. We're going back 35 years one more time to the main event from 1990. Not Saturday night's main event, Nick. The main event on Friday night, 35 years ago, February 23rd, 10 p.m. on a Friday, the third ever main event that they did. Couple of title matches. It's Hulk Hogan against the Macho King, Randy Savage, and then the IC title on the line as well. Ultimate Warrior and Dino Bravo. The selling point to this, Nick, was Iron Mike Tyson is your special referee. Until he wasn't.
Put your mother in a straight jacket, you punk white boy.
Because he just happened to lose the belt and was knocked out in Japan 2 weeks earlier. Nick, give us your thoughts coming in when you thought it was Tyson, your thoughts on the card itself as an 11-year-old watching this, and then once you heard Buster Duglas was going to come in, what did you think about everything? How excited were you for this?
Originally super excited because, I wasn't a big boxing guy, but I think everybody in the world knew Iron Mike Tyson, right? And he is taking the boxing world by storm. Guys can't last more than a couple rounds against this phenom. And so I'm like, holy, this is going to be cool. I don't follow boxing. So when he lost, I'm like, who in the hell is Buster? I mean, you probably knew.
Even if you did follow boxing, nobody knew who this dude was.
Who in the blue hell are you?
That's how I
Nobody.
I'm still excited because, again, you're talking to us. Again, these are pay-per-view events for us. The main event, Saturday night's main event. We're still in the era of 4, right?
Four pay-per-views.
4 pay-per-views. So I'm still excited. He's the world champ. He knocked out Tyson. So my limited boxing knowledge was just telling me, holy crap, he must be the next phenom I was hoping, and excited to see and I'm always as a WWE fan, excited to see Savage and Hogan lock horns, man, because their matches, I don't think they stink in WCW. I think they're okay, some of them, but they're phenomenal in the WWE. This is probably where you mute me. I'm full-fledged behind the Ultimate Warrior at this point in time, Ryan.
Pathetic.
Like, I was riding the Warrior.
Really stupid.
It was awesome.
Idiot.
I was a little Warrior. I didn't hate Hogan, and I did not hate Savage. This was a great card for me other than Bravo. But, I was pumped for this thing, and I don't think I saw it live, though. I had to tape it. But I did not watch live, but I did get to see it, so I was really excited.
I did, and everybody at school was talking about it, so I did watch live, except I fell asleep in the middle of it because I am not even 10 years old yet. I'm like 2 months away from being 10, so I'm 9. Being up at 10:30 at night was late still for me,
Sure.
And I fell asleep on the couch watching it, so I didn't get to... I don't even remember when I finally did see the entire thing.
You were not taping?
No, I did not tape it. I was up until I wasn't. Just like Mike Tyson, he was the ref until he wasn't.
Off.
Until he was.
Yeah, I don't think you can underscore how big Mike Tyson was. He was the biggest athlete on earth. At that point, people were saying he was the greatest boxer of all time. He's better than Muhammad Ali. He's better than Sugar Ray Robinson. He's bigger than everybody. I did watch boxing. I watched Head of the Class with Robin Givens on it, so his wife. So I knew her. I mean, dude, this was like the biggest thing ever.
He was billed. You'd have to fill me in. He was billed. The Sports World was talking like, we don't know when Tyson's going to lose. Like, this guy could have the belt. He was never going to
lose.
Was going to have the belt until he decided he didn't want it anymore.
I mean, he won the belt. He knocked out Michael Spinks in 91 seconds. And that was a few years earlier than this. I mean, it's just unbelievable, this guy, and how good he was. And he was so good, for those that don't know. No one would even take bets on this fight. Nobody paid attention to this fight. It's in Tokyo. It's at the Dome. So, of course, it was a 7-star fight. No one would even take gambles on this fight because Buster Douglas was a tomato can. Yeah, he had gotten himself a little bit better, but he had already lost 4 fights earlier in his career. One place took it at 42-1. He was the biggest underdog that won in the history of boxing. This is the biggest upset, most thought, in the history of sports at this point. So, yeah, what a shock. You know, and Nick, there was some rumors. Were you in this at all, or was 10-year-old Nick had no idea? There were some that thought, because you didn't know who the WrestleMania opponent was going to be until like a week before this when they said it was Warrior. There were rumors that it could be Mike Tyson, that Hogan was going to retire, and they're going to go out and have the biggest pay-per-view in the history of the world, the boxing champ against the wrestling champ. A lot of people thought this was going to set
Rocky,
that up.
You know, yeah, like he did in Rocky, right?
And it's happened before. Ali fought Inoki. I think Ali fought like Gorilla Monsoon.
Yes, he did.
There was other fights out there, so people were thinking, holy crap, this is going to be the biggest thing ever if they did that. Now, that was quickly shut down. And then especially after he lost, you know, that definitely wasn't going to happen. But Buster Douglas, man, I want to talk a little bit about getting him in here because it's interesting how this happened.
You said he was 42-1?
42-1.
So I'm going to write this down.
Tyson out.
For our time machine, right next to we're going to buy Nitro. Let me write that down that we go place a bet on Buster Douglas if we go back in time.
Yeah. If we ever meet Doc Brown and jump in the DeLorean, you know that.
Well, next stop 2001 with our, what do we need? 6 million for Nitro? Was it 5 million?
I don't even know if it's that much. Yeah, 2.3 or something like that to buy WCW.
21 gigawatts!
But yeah, February 11th. So literally 2 weeks, 13 days before this. In Japan, this fight happens, and this is according to Bruce Pritchard. They already had everything cut, everything done. You know, back then, there was no Monday Night Raw. Prime time was taped. Everything was taped, and they send them out to the TV stations. Everything was cut and done. Bruce Pritchard is at his parents' house in Houston, Texas, and he gets a phone call. And it's Vince and Kevin Dunn. And they're like, well, Tyson lost. What? What are you talking about? He's like, so we'll see you tomorrow. We got to figure out what's going on. He literally had to get up first thing in the morning, fly back to Connecticut. They had to recut everything, redo everything. They had no idea what they were going to do at this point, who the referee is going to be.
Mike Tyson is out, so just who will have guts enough to stand between Hulk Hogan and the Macho King this Friday on the main event, live.
Basil DeVito, who you may have seen on some DVDs and some of those things back then, he was an executive. He found out, they talked to Don King. Don King says, Tyson ain't coming. We're flying into Buffalo, New York. So Basil flies to Buffalo. And back then, pre-9/11, you could meet people at the gate, you know, back in the day when they'd fly in. First person they see when they get off the plane is Basil DeVito. Hey, come with me. We need to talk. He pitches them the deal. They take the deal right then. We're like, yeah, we don't want Mike Tyson. We want the guy who knocked out Mike Tyson.
Sure.
So then, you know, they make the deal. And that's how the whole thing with Buster happened. But it's really smart by them too, Nick. As you just said, here we are all these years later. Barely anybody still knows who this guy is. What an introduction. Because this fight was in Japan. Nobody was watching it. The AP was the only news organization from America that sent someone to Japan to cover the fight. There was one writer there.
I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it happened when I first heard it. I was like, this is like you're trying, you know, I didn't use the word ribbing, but you know, like I'm like, this is a joke. You're ribbing. Like, there's no way. This, like,
Tyson,
who beat him? Yeah, like this guy I never heard of beat him.
Basically, he was a jobber.
Unbelievable, man. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, no one on earth saw this coming. So, but what a better way. Here he is now 2 weeks later.
Yes.
Now he can get out on national television. And hey, here I am. I'm the new champ, blah, blah, blah. So very
Boy, they
smart
plug
by
it.
him to take it, to do it. The two
Yeah.
champions. It's only a 1 hour show, remember, because it's the main event, not Saturday night's main event. You knew something big was going to happen here, though, because if you look back the previous 2 years, main event number 1 was Andre Hogan. Andre wins, gives the belt to DiBiase. Now we have the tournament at 4. The next year,
Mega Power.
the Mega Powers explode. That sets up WrestleMania 5. So you're thinking, okay, something's going to happen here. There's only 2 belts on the line. We've never seen belt against belt. Somebody's going to lose one of their belts, aren't they? They're going to lose their belt, and that's where the Tyson thing came in. People thought maybe Tyson was going to cost Hogan his belt, so then it'd be Tyson against Hogan and then Macho against Warrior, something like that. I figured something major was going to happen because it had the previous 2 years.
I wasn't even thinking. I just wanted to see Hogan Warrior. I felt at that point we were going that direction. Because they had been doing these run-ins on Superstars where one guy would come in, pick a one, Hogan or Warrior. Hogan would be getting beat up somehow, and they were going to really harm him, and then Warrior would come in. I think Hogan started it, but anyway, they would vice versa, and it kept happening. Kind of what we see at the end of this pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And so I was pretty sure we were on the track for these two. I was just...
Well, they announced it already. They had announced it like the week before.
I was excited to see this, Ryan. I could not wait because to me, like today, everybody fights everybody 7 times a week, twice on Sunday. We've seen every match 45 times. This guy's been heel, this guy's been face, and they faced off both ways. I had never seen a Hogan Warrior collide. Like not like
two
this.
Good
like
guys.
Two good guys. I mean, the biggest thing, closest thing to this I could remember would be Hogan Andre, and again, that was heel face.
Mm-hmm.
This was incredible and a little torn, but my dad had talked me up that this was it for the Hulk.
That's what a lot of people thought.
My dad, I remember after 6, as he's, on the cart going away, and my dad's like, what a career, this is where he'll probably hang it up. He was only off by 25 years.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, just a couple.
But
he's not wrong though, because those were all rumors too. There was a rumor, I guess, around this time. Remember, it was terrible, but No Holds Barred came out the summer before, so people were thinking he was going off to Hollywood. He was leaving after Mania to go make Suburban Commando, and there was the rumor apparently out there that he was going to join Disney and sign some contract with Disney, and that obviously didn't end up happening. But yeah, it wasn't far off to believe that Hogan was leaving here.
And that kind of helped me solidify my choice. I was just hot behind the Warrior, man.
There's no Hulkamaniacs here.
People can job and rip him and do whatever you want. I kind of compare Warrior to like Vanilla Ice, if you will. And what I mean by that, for a moment in time, dude, he was the coolest thing going around. It was a small moment.
I work at an ice rink now.
Couple years, I guess.
It was a good 3 years. I mean,
but he wasn't on top for the whole 3, But yeah, he was there. But I mean, people take that into consideration how it wasn't an elongated career. But I'd look at that and say and Austin was.
Excellent question.
I think it's about the same amount of time. So, I mean, the Warrior to me doesn't get enough credit of how big that guy was. And I know that he's not
Massive.
Hogan, but I can also tell you, he's fighting frickin' Rick Rude. You know me, I love Rick Rude, but I never saw him as a world title challenger in the WWF.
Pennsylvania piss ants.
let's get into the show, dude.
Yeah.
Joe Louis Arena, Detroit, Michigan. It is sold out. I looked back at the Observer before we get into it. Here's some bad news. 93% thumbs down. Very shocking from the Observer that people wouldn't like this show. Who knew, As we said, the sell of this was both titles are on the line. they're going to fight at WrestleMania. Could one of them lose their belt before WrestleMania? Classic promos to start it out with the little music underneath. It's Hogan, it's Savage, and then Buster Douglas. But we don't really hear from Buster Douglas. We hear from his manager, like pumping him up. And they don't ever tell us who this guy is. You just assume it's his manager, but he's front and center. And you're like, all right, whatever. So we go to Jesse and Vince. As always, they're calling this thing. They are standing so close that I feel like they just got done making out. Like, why are they standing so close to each other? It's very strange. Like, uncomfortably strange.
I want to kiss you.
The production here was nothing less than brilliant. I don't think, Nick, I think, Nick, it was about 15 minutes at least before they even got in the ring.
Yes, it was.
Because we just saw all that open. Then we go back to Macho Man, and he's talking about Buster nonstop. What do you think about this? Because he's talking about Buster the whole time. He's like not saying anything about Hogan, I'm getting my belt back. You beat me for the belt a year ago. I'm getting it back. I don't like you. Here, no, it's just all about Buster Douglas,
man. And I think maybe that made sense, Ryan, because the Hogan Macho Man thing had been going on for a while now. We had watched him fight at Mania. If you went to house shows, you may have seen him fight there. We watched him fight at SummerSlam. We watched him fight in the cage with the Barber and Zeus. We had been watching them for a while go at it. So I think Buster originally was Mike. That's the sell on this match. Like, we know Hogan has had the leg up on Savage throughout this whole feud in the WWE. Could the referee make a difference here? Is this something that's going to come into play? I think that's maybe why he, not so much on Hogan as much on Buster.
Well, then Hogan does the same thing, though. And he starts saying, like, I don't know if this referee's on the up and up. And I'm like, the whole Buster Douglas story is he's an underdog. His mom died a week before the fight. He dedicated the fight to his mom. Nobody thought he could do it. Believe in yourself, like the ultimate good guy. And Hogan's out here going, I don't know if this guy's going to call it straight, brother. And I'm like, what are we doing?
I didn't know he died. His mother died. That's probably not the greatest thing. Savage is calling out grandma.
That's literally like that's the whole story with Buster Douglas. His mom had died right before the fight. Real quick, just for my own, how'd you like Sherry in that interview?
You ruined her a little bit for me I'm sorry. I still like Sherry. But yeah, she is a little weird when she's with the Macho Man. But I can't get I know. You are. I wish you wouldn't have said anything if that is.
Why is she always screaming and growling all the time? Was she like trying to sound like Macho Man? The kingdom of the man.
Hey, give her some credit, man. Yes, she growls. Yeah, Ryan, to me, she is still one of the better managers in WWE history. So
it works. Those two together work for whatever reason, but
they do.
Yeah. So then we go back out, man. Let's go back out, and then they throw to Mean Gene. He's with Buster. So you said the Buster is the sell of this.
Oh, yeah.
They want you to stay tuned. That's why they waited 15 or 20 minutes before they got in the ring, because they knew a lot of people around the world were going to be watching. The number one athlete on the planet just got knocked out by some guy. I want to see who some guy is.
That jabroni Brian Blair.
Did that Buster Douglas interview seem really cut up to you? Because it did to me. Like he must have messed up a few times.
Yeah, there's a bad edit.
Shoot it.
And he's just talking about Mike Tyson the whole time, ripping on Tyson. And he's like, if somebody gets out of line, I'm going to flatten them just like I did Mike Tyson. And then he gives a big wink to the crowd.
You know what? I would too, Ryan. You just knocked out Mike Tyson. I'd be running my mouth all over the country too, man.
Wrestlers are already in the ring. Here comes Buster. His manager again is like walking parallel with him and even blocks the camera half the time. And he's all excited. We're like, bro, we don't know you. Get out of the way. The whole way to the ring, his manager is like in front of him.
Yeah.
Like, dude, beat it.
Scram, McFly.
Like, who are you, man? How about the match, Nick? The match finally gets going. I believe after another commercial break, Buster is involved almost right from the get-go. Go ahead on the match.
Yeah, no, I liked it. It was a good match, man. Back and forth, Buster. I was a little worried at the beginning because I'm like, I hadn't seen this match in probably 30 or so years, right? I have not gone back and watched this. So I'm trying to remember. I'm like, how did they get Buster into this thing? And they really, I thought, did a pretty good job of getting him in, getting him involved, and he finally does make the 3 count. And then we got the shenanigans afterwards. But I thought the match, all in all, was a decent match. Ryan, it'd be hard for me to find a match with Savage in it. I know maybe you don't like some of the Animal Steel matches, but I even like those ones, man. Like, I'm a huge Savage fan. Savage, did you see? He ate a punch, man. He doesn't go down to the first Buster Duglas. Yeah, like, I mean, I don't know if they choreographed that right because it looked like they weren't.
No,
it didn't look like
it
they
was
were
bad.
together.
You thought that was good?
No, I thought it looked bad. Like,
okay.
I was like, whoa, oh man, Savage just like ate a punch from the champ, man. Like, I'm just like, oh, but
yeah. So, dude, Buster, he gets in it right away. Savage goes for the classic Savage from the top rope, gonna do the double axe handle off. Buster stands in front of him, won't let him do it. Sherry gets in there. Hogan grabs her. Macho knocks her out. Sherry's choking Hogan right in front of Buster, and then he throws Sherry out. You remember, he is the outside referee, a la WrestleMania 1, Muhammad Ali. We got a real ref, then we got the outside ref, a la WrestleMania 14.
But he's much more involved.
And if you remember, Nick, Mike Tyson, WrestleMania 14, right?
Right.
This is the same finish.
I thought the same thing,
it's
Ryan.
Literally the same match.
Yes.
It's the same. Referee gets knocked down. Hogan kicks out of the elbow and then hits the leg drop. Buster's in there. 1, 2, 3.
Kind of a fast count, just like Tyson. It was a little faster than normal.
The same thing happens again. Shawn Michaels gets in Mike Tyson's face. What are you doing? You shouldn't have done that. Boom. Nails him. Except this time, Hogan pushed Macho into Buster. Buster swings and completely misses. And then Macho like grabs him around the neck and is like, do it again. And then he hits him. I don't know exactly what happened here, but another Bruce says Macho wanted to literally get hit. Like, he wanted it to be real. He wanted to get knocked out. He was going to eat one from the heavyweight champion of the world, and I don't know.
With no gloves? Like just a fist to the face?
Well, that's what he said. Now, you know, Pritchard, they're all carnies. He could be working, but that's what he wanted. And we know how crazy Macho is in real life.
He's very into his work, man.
I completely believe this. And the way it happened, too. The way he, like, grabbed him and said, do it again? Dude, that made me think that, like, yeah, Macho really wanted to eat one. So he gets knocked out, and, you know, that's the end of it. Jesse saying Buster is a Hulkamaniac, classic Jesse, you know, he's all over. Hogan, he's got the referee in the bag, brother. And
I think it's despicable that Hogan would lay his hands on a female manager. He didn't need the knee. He didn't drive the knee into the chest of Sherry. It was the Macho Man who did. No, he just choked her out. That's he's so great, man. Jesse has just got lines all the night, man. And even when Buster blocks him, Jesse, this is what makes him great. He does call it, like, he shouldn't be doing that. Savage is going to the outside. Why is Buster defending Hogan on the outside, not letting him attack him from the top rope? So the Pat and Savage axe handle from the top, man. But yeah, I think it was entertaining for everybody.
Then we go to the Ultimate Warrior real quick before they go to break. He says some complete nonsense about Mercury and Venus and all this. And then, you know, there we go. So we come back. We got Dino Bravo in the back. with Jesse Ventura doing the interview here for some reason. Earthquake is there. Jimmy Hart is there.
Yep.
My boy is doing his thing.
Yeah,
He's just doing his thing. Bravo has punched himself in the chest
always
38 times, I think, in about 4 seconds. We go back to the Warrior. He's with Mean Gene. Do you have earthquake insurance? No. And I don't need earthquake insurance. And then he says some more stuff. So here we go. So now these guys fight, and I'm just thinking here now today, I don't know if I thought it then, but I know I wasn't happy about it. How did Bravo get on this show?
You need job guys.
You know, you've got the world boxing champion, you got Hogan, you got Macho, you got Warrior. Dino Bravo? One of these things is not like the other.
And you labeled it out. The card underneath them that we didn't get to see is pretty stacked on here, Ryan. It's not a bad card for the people that showed up in the arena. You would have figured they could have rolled someone else out here. Like, I mean, what was the Honky Tonk Man doing? Like, I mean, someone who had been a former Intercontinental Champion, something. Dino Bravo, man, I think I saw him beat Don the Rock Morocco, and I think that's it. Yeah, I'm with you. It was like, why is this job guy out here, man?
So Warrior starts hot. He goes under the ring for no reason whatsoever. He goes under the ring, and then they take a wide shot. On the other side of the ring, Jimmy Hart gets pulled under the ring. Then they come back out the other side of the ring.
Yeah.
And Jimmy has no pants on.
Jimmy was pulled under the ring.
He was pulled under the ring by the Ultimate Warrior.
And we do not know what transpired, but he does come back out
with red underwear.
Though, like, what was the Warriors' plan?
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't know
why
either.
This
parts
is
unknown.
funny.
There's a lot of things that are allowed in parts unknown, Ryan. I don't know.
And I don't want to know anything about the parts. So Jimmy is gone now from ringside because he has his red underwear. Yep. So he goes running out of here, but the earthquake is still down there. Doesn't matter. Warrior gets the quick win. It was like 4 minutes long, very quick, thankfully. Then Quake gets in there, and Quake just starts hitting all his moves. Every one of his moves. He's hitting all of them. He goes up to the rope. He's going to squash him. Hogan comes down, makes the save, won't let Earthquake squash him. Those two get face to face. Warrior gets mad for some reason. I don't know why he gets mad. He gets upset.
You can hear him saying,
face.
I don't need your help, Hogan, or something like that.
And Jesse's saying he's trying to steal his thunder. He's trying to one-up the Warrior. He's trying to, whatever. So they are going face-to-face. Referees are getting thrown down. Your thoughts?
There is no way. Even Little Hortz was not like Dino Bravo is not beating the Ultimate Warrior.
No.
So, like that was – but the ending, it was what I wanted, Ryan. The two of them, Hogan comes down. We get this face-off again and just got me, even more pumped. Like, they're really building this up. And, Ryan, like you said at the Rumble, these two guys really never touch each other, as far as, like, an actual fight, before Mania, other than, maybe a missed clothesline or someone's not looking, gets pushed into the other, or they don't have an actual...
They just kind of have standoffs, not like the big pull-aparts we do a lot of times where they start beating each other and get pulled and then jump. No, they just stand there face-to-face.
I was ready. It got me more excited for WrestleMania VI, man. I'm ready.
The crowd is chanting Hogan when they go to break. Now, it's not all 20,000 people, but it's enough that you can hear it. Just interesting here. The Torch and the Observer both were talking about the Warrior and how he was acting like a heel the whole time. And they were wondering if there was going to be a turn at some point because he kept getting mad and all that sort of thing. And then the way he talked in his promos, which we're going to get to again here in 1 second. So we come back from commercial, and now Vince is in the back. And once again, more production. They do an amazing job setting all of this up, setting up WrestleMania, making it seem like a big deal, once again, for the people who maybe are just tuning in because it's Friday night on NBC. They don't normally see this stuff. recaps the Hogan Warrior history, talks about the Rumble, then the Saturday night's main event that happened a few weeks earlier where they were a tag team going against Perfect and the Genius and how they got in each other's face because Hogan accidentally hit him. And now this happens. Hogan, he's talking. He puts the Warrior over, man. He puts the Warrior over here. He says it's the strongest force that has ever hit Hulkamania.
I know, and this is a guy that's fought Andre, Savage, Bundy. We named him, all these big, This is the most powerful man I've ever faced.
Yeah, no question, man. He puts him over big time. Yes, and then he says he helped the Warrior tonight because he wants the Warrior at his best. He looked in his eyes and he saw that he was ready for battle. So he does nothing but put this guy over. So it's huge, man. Then they go to the Warrior.
Hogan never put anybody over. So.
No, never once. Not at all, especially a couple weeks later at WrestleMania. And then they go to the Warrior. And those of us that know the Joe Louis Arena, it's hilarious. He's in the junior locker room. You can tell by the paint job. Little Caesars is a traveling hockey team. Mike Madonna played for them back in the day. And he's in that locker room. You could tell he goes on and on and on and on.
Again, I told you I was with the Warrior, and I still nostalgically love the Warrior. But he's like, I don't know, like it reminds me of watching Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Like, I loved it as a kid. I saw it like a few years ago, and I'm like...
But now you think it's...
Bogus!
I'm like the same way I'm looking like, boy, oh boy, the Warrior is a guy that I just want to leave in the past for me. And like, I can't go back and analyze because when I'm looking, I'm like, Little Hort's like, what's going on here, man? Like, it was hot that time, but now watching it back, I mean, Ryan, this locker room looked awful.
Yeah, it's all decorated with his stuff
so
all
bad,
over,
man.
which they did with other guys too.
I know, but it just looked really bad, man. But and he goes in, he talks and goes on a rant.
All of his nonsense.
Oh God, yeah, it is just. I don't know. I got a bunch written down here for one of our categories.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah, it's odd to hear, and going back and again reading the torch and everything, and I think it's true. If you do go back, and he was always nuts and everything, but this Hogan feud is when he started getting all this talking about the planets and the galaxies and all this stuff. He did not talk like that 6-8 months ago, a year ago. It's different now. It's
weird. Yeah, points to the wall and says it's the Warriors that cannot come. They have attached themselves to the outer structure. I don't know where we were going with
Canada
that.
Is right over the river. Maybe it's Canada.
I was like, do you mean the wall?
That's the wall up there, brother.
Ryan, today I don't know. I thought it was. I don't know what I was thinking as a kid. I was cool with it.
You're a kid.
I guess that's true, and I guess that's what we got to realize when we watch things today, and some of them were just like, who on God's green earth would find that interesting? Oh, kids.
Yeah, maybe, the tassels, face paint, all the screaming and all of that. One last thing before we go, another Buster Douglas interview. And he says, Hulkamania, Hogan hits my type of guy, and me and him are going to go out drinking. And me and Gene's like, what? What in the world? He goes, Hulk's a buttermilk guy. I'm a whole milk guy.
Good cleanup.
All right. Okay. Whatever. Hey, people were excited to see this. This drew a 12.8 rating, which means 20.9 million viewers. This is an even greater number than the main event the year before, where the Mega Powers broke up. It's an even better number than that. That got an 11.6, 19.9 million. So
these were huge.
1 million more people watched this. Now, think about this. When they tagged together on Saturday night's main event, 1 month earlier, against the Genius and Perfect, that got an 11.1 rating. That is the second highest rating of all time on Saturday night's main event, behind only the Battle Royal with Hogan and the Andre the Giant right before
awesome.
WrestleMania 3.
Yep.
So this tells you people weren't interested in Hogan and the Warrior, whatever is going on here. They were interested big time. Here's the problem, though, and I think we just talked about it a little bit. But then WrestleMania's buy rate is terrible. WrestleMania 5 got 767,000 buys. WrestleMania 6 dropped by 200,000 buys.
That's
560. And
wow.
You're wondering, is that because the Ultimate Warrior, it was uninterested? What's he talking about? Like, they were interested maybe until this guy started talking.
It's the work of an idiot.
And then I think it went.
Maybe, and like you said, though, Ryan, it is kind of turning the corner on the golden age. I mean, we're getting a lot of new characters coming in. Me and you said I really think in 2 years, after WrestleMania 8, it's a completely different roster.
Oh, gosh,
Maybe Buster. I'm sure there was a lot of people watching for Buster Douglas.
Yes.
They
want to see the guy that knocked out the guy.
Because I will tell you, you know me, I am a huge fan of the first 6 WrestleManias. I freaking love them all. I actually think 6 is better than 5, top to bottom, as a card.
Yeah.
So that perplexes me, and maybe you are right, because I could see adults not liking the Warrior, because we've always said this, and you did. I went and watched it when you sent it to me. His thing on Arsenio Hall is maybe one of the most uncomfortable Arsenio Halls we've ever seen.
Yeah.
You can't market this guy outside of the product, if that makes sense. Like, he can't go on Regis and Kathy. He can't go on Good Morning America. He can't go on, Arsenio Hall. And we've said this about some of the other guys, when you're bringing them in from a 6th dimension down the street, or whatever. These guys are hard to market outside outside your actual core audience, and even sometimes with your core audience.
As for Buster Douglas, well, this is it. This is the peak of his career, because he literally lived up to his name after this. He was a complete bust.
Being labeled the greatest jobber.
Holyfield knocked him out, right?
Knocks him out in his very first title defense 8 months later, October 25th, 1990, in the 3rd round. And that was about it for Buster Douglas. Now,
hasn't gotten up since.
Now, another loser in this whole thing is poor Sega Genesis. They used to say Genesis does what Nintendo don't. That was the big commercial. If you don't remember that, yeah. Well, they did a very fast job. They're like, you know what? We got to get a video game out. So they took a video game called Final Blow from Japan. They re-released it. They changed one guy's name to Buster Douglas, and they called it James Buster Douglas Knockout Boxing. This came out June 1st. So they got it out right away before he got knocked out, and then that was the end of that. But like Nick, if you listen to this show, like Nick always likes to say, like most wrestling imports from Japan, it sucked.
You suck, pal.
It was big in Japan, Ryan.
Some magazine named Mega Magazine, they placed this game at number 9 of their 10 worst Sega Genesis games of all time.
Ooh, wow.
So
that's rough, because there's some bad ones.
Iron Mike may have lost the fight, but in the video game world, this is a TKO in the first 5 seconds, because we all know Mike Tyson's Punch-Out is like the most beloved game in the history of the world.
And he's caught between two, because Evander Holyfield's Real Deal Boxing is awesome on the Sega Genesis as well.
Yeah.
So it's just like, this game sucks.
Fucking thing sucks.
Yeah, well, and Sega was just trying. We got to get something as good as Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Didn't happen.
No, it did not.
It did not. Anything else, Nick, before we jump into this final
I'm ready to run
back?
It back, man. No, I'm ready to run it back.
Let's hit it. We will start out with the funniest moment of the night. Not a lot of funny lines and things like this in the show because it was more a serious show, except for the Buster Douglas coming in here thing. Do you have a funny moment from the night?
Ryan, I couldn't stop laughing in the Warriors post interview. It is such a child-based locker room. The Warriors shirt is hanging. The poster says Warrior Wildness in the wall. He starts off talking about Hogan sensing Hogan's fear at the Royal Rumble. But then he just goes completely crazy. It actually starts pretty good on that promo. And then he just points to the wall. Yeah, like I told you, talking about the Warriors that cannot come. And then they have attached themselves to the outer structure. They are feeling and feeding the Warrior with power to survive, but ride on his back for protection. Oh, okay. Red and yellow on the wall means Hulkamaniacs are questioning his look at me. His look at me. Look at me. I'm sorry. I just think, I look back, right? I cannot believe that I was so into this guy. And I know I was. I was so into this guy, man. And I'm just looking today like, oh, brother, man, what were you doing? And it's great. He's even yelling and not done with the promo as they are cutting the commercial.
Oh, yeah.
The Warrior is still rambling on, man. That was my funny moment.
I got his pre-match promo, and we ran it in the open here. The funniest part about it, the open to our show, at the end of his pre-match promo, he throws his arms up like he normally does and, tilts his head back. And he says, I'm going to fulfill my destiny. And as he puts his head back down, he goes, and his eyes are all crossed, and
the Warrior, man.
It looks, and he snorts, and it's just like, oh my gosh, dude. Line of the night. Do you have a line? Not one of Jesse's better nights as far as funny stuff goes, but dude, what do you got?
The Savage promo, man. I'll go. You know that I'm glad that Iron Mike Tyson pulled out as the special referee. I'm happy, man, because the Macho King got a little special investigation. Oh, yeah. And I discovered that Mike Tyson's great-grandmother was a no-good, loyal-to-the-bone, card-carrying Hulkamaniac. And there's no way he could have called it right down the middle, 50-50, square, fair and square. No way in the world. I thought that was a great line by the Macho Man, man. I can listen to his promos all day, man.
I don't have one. The only thing that stands out for me is the buttermilk line. Because I'm like, what in the world? Who drinks butter? Who aged the best? What is aged the best? I'll go first on this one, man. I mentioned it before. Just the whole production of the show, the way they built this thing up. Took forever to get the ring. That was smart. There might be a ton of non-wrestling fans watching. Make them wait. Make them wait. Give them all the other stuff. Make them wait to see Buster Douglas. Helps your ratings. Obviously, it did. 21 million people watched this. I thought the way the show was set up, maybe it wasn't executed the best, but the setup was awesome.
I did age the best, Ryan, and I may catch some grief. Hogan Savage matches, they're just money to me. Hogan and Macho Man are the WWE to me, man. When people would say that in the past, oh, you watch that WWF stuff with Hogan and the Macho Man, right? They came synonymous with each other. I still think their matches, they sell. I mean, whether you want to say it or not, they sell. All of them sold. SummerSlam sold. The cage match, I wanted to see it, even though it was just a hot one match off on a no-holds-barred thing. I wanted to see it. This match, I wanted to see it. I don't think there was a Savage Hogan match when people were like, I don't want to see. Maybe in WCW there was. But I think the Savage Hogan feud has aged great.
Yeah, I agree with that. What has aged the worst, Nick?
This one, mate. James Buster Douglas, right? This is a terrible heavyweight champion. And his performance at the event was not great, dude. I mean, you can tell he is not used to being in front of the camera. He looks, he botched the knockout on Savage. Unless Savage botched it, I don't know who gets the blame for that. It looks bad. That if you could do any part of the night over again, I think that would be what they would choose.
Buster Douglas, established 1990, closed 1990. All right, I got the Warriors promos. I mean, we talked about it. You know, that I thought about Douglas, but, dude, I think that DVD that came out really ruined this guy, because there were a lot of people that already thought that stuff. But then there were people like us that were 10 years old or so at this time, and we're like, yeah, 10-year-old, you know, you don't see it. And then they really broke down and just murdered this guy. And not only like on a personal level.
Some of it's a load of crap, though, Ryan. I will say that.
Yeah, like, but I'm talking about the promos.
The promos are okay.
Yeah, because the promos, man, they just. And then people that were too young that are seeing that DVD for the first time, that didn't watch The Warrior, they're like, this guy is a joke.
Yeah.
And so watching back, especially during this time, you really see it, man. You're like, this guy is just rambling about I don't even know what. It was it did not help whatsoever. Most rewatchable scene, Nick, mine is the missed punch, because I'm like, wait a minute, did he just miss? I got to rewatch that. So I rewound it and watched it about 10 times. And then I heard about the Macho really wanting to get hit and really wanting to get knocked out. I'm like, I got to see what happened here.
See, I did not know that. I could have changed my that Macho Man's pre-match promo. Like I said, I can watch Savage, and I know, and you know, maybe I don't know if people feel the same way about Savage, that he's kind of a little out there on his promos or something
he is,
like that.
But not like Warrior.
But I just think he's one of the most awesome characters in the history of the industry. To me, if you do not have him in the top 5, 6, 7 guys on a ranking, like I don't know how you don't. He is absolutely awesome. He is pre-match promo. I could watch that again and again.
Nitpick. If you could change anything, what do you
go
got?
Down here? I would have had the ref get knocked out. Savage starts cheating, and as he beating up Hogan, cheating, using whatever, Buster jumps in as the ref and orders Savage to stop. Savage won't, and he physically pushes or does something to Buster, and then Buster jacks him and Hogan pins him. That's kind of, I would have had Buster be more involved in the finish, because other than that, I'm okay with it. I mean, I guess maybe you could have done better shots on the production, or I'm not meaning production, but like better like interviews and things like that if run smoother. But yeah, I would have had Buster. That would be, I found it hard. I would have Buster do that. The other one, maybe someone else other than Bravo.
That's all I have, is anybody but Dino Bravo.
Jobber Mount Rushmore.
You would have took Canada's weakest man.
Yeah, unless his name was Dino Bravo Jr. You know, like,
yeah,
we all have our favorites, dude. We all do, and we have people that you love and I don't, or I love and you don't. Like,
sure,
I don't know one single person on earth that I have ever met that even in the slightest liked Dino Bravo. No. And I'm talking like, I don't know anybody that would give him a 1 out of 10. Nobody.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know anybody. Now, I haven't spoken to anybody from Montreal, so I'm not sure about that. But there is literally nobody I know who thinks Dino Bravo is good. And I don't care to know anybody that thought Dino. I don't get it, man.
I don't think the Mafia
of all these shows, that's who you came up with.
Yeah.
Now, I know that when they pulled Earthquake out of the crowd, that it was Earthquake and Dino that smashed the Ultimate Warrior, and we're still running this storyline a couple of months later. But holy smokes, man.
Yeah, Dino's awful, man.
Moment of the night.
His name's Dino.
Well, yeah, isn't he? He's like the Flintstones dog, right?
That Dino is enough to make a guy want to go right back to work.
I would rather watch him fight the Warrior.
Hey! Oh, cut it out! Stop! Heel, Dino!
I would. That'd be interesting. Warrior against a dinosaur.
Yeah. What are we up to next, right?
Moment of the night. You got a moment. What was it? Pretty easy to me.
Well, I have two. I have a WTF moment of the night, if you don't mind me doing.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Before the moment of the night, you got a WTF moment. Okay.
What was the Warrior going to do to Jimmy? What were they aiming for? What is going on, man? Why did he take off his pants? Like, I'm still wondering, like, what? I know they're trying to make
it's
people
an
laugh,
old
but
wrestling trope.
Yeah,
I think this has happened numerous
Oh, it
times,
has,
but to
yes.
see it on national TV, and you want to say it doesn't age the best, you know, that may be one of them.
But yeah, no, my best moment of the night, Hogan Warrior showdown. After Hogan makes the save on the Warrior in the Bravo match, that's the moment of the night for me.
That's what they built this whole thing toward.
Yeah,
that's exactly what they built the whole thing toward. Hot take, Nick.
I told you I tried it. This was a tough one because we didn't have everything. You know, there's only 2 matches, right? So, hottest takeaway. End of the Hogan Savage feud in the WWE. If it's not the greatest wrestling story, it has to be top 3 to me. To me, it's number 1. But this is the last time I think these two officially clash on a television program. To me, and that's to me my hottest take. That this is the last time you get to see this epic 2 duo. This is the end.
My hot take is I can totally see why the Meltzers and the Kellers absolutely crapped on this show, and why they absolutely crapped on the build to Hogan Warrior. You know, everybody's sick of Hogan by this point. They are sick of getting hit with an elbow, kicking out, 3 punches, big boot, leg drop. They're sick of that. They didn't like
all those matches.
They didn't like Warrior at all. But I will say this, in going back and watching again, and I watched everything from January 1st until WrestleMania. I watched everything. And I have always thought this, and I think it even more now. I've never thought the build to this match was good at all. The match is
money.
Amazing. The match is amazing. Better than
probably
anybody could have ever thought.
Probably the Warriors' best match.
Oh, gosh, yeah. And they, the Rumble thing was great. The face-off, and then they end up double clothesline, laid them out. But then the end of this night, where they're face-to-face, they did that 3 separate times. They did it on the Saturday Night's Main Event a month before. Then on Superstars, I think they did it one other time. And that was the whole feud, was those two just standing there because it's face versus face. The other thing they did, going back and watching everything, Macho and Hogan the year before, everybody remembers that Macho promo that is over 5 minutes long where he breaks down everything that you grabbed her butt and you did this and you're jealous. And then Hogan cut a response to that. These very long promos. They tried to recreate that here. Every single week when they go to the event center or whatever, or the Mean Gene WrestleMania update, it's Hogan and Warrior cutting like 5 minute long promos. In the Warrior,
he's off nowhere.
Just babbling about, and I think that is a big reason why these shows got massive ratings and then the buy rate sucked. I think that's the entire reason why that happened. So that's my hot take. The Warrior killed this feud.
It's hard to do face versus face. Man.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yep.
I mean, Taker, Austin, ask them what match they don't like. It is one of the best WrestleMania main event matches in the history of WrestleMania.
Yep. Okay, 3 more real quick. Do you have a what if? Mine is pretty simple. What if Mike Tyson was the referee? You know, what if it was Tyson? What would have happened? What about that rumored Mike Tyson Hulk Hogan match? Does Tyson turn heel? What could have happened, you know, if Tyson was there instead of Douglas?
Mine was the same. What if they turned one of these dudes heel? Yeah. Who would it have been? Like, I mean, you know, we've got that. I'm not sure. I believe the Hulk, that he pitched the idea to go back and truck the Warrior after WrestleMania 6, but I don't believe that.
I don't believe that for a second.
And become Hollywood then. Yeah, I'm like, okay. But I mean, looking at it, what if he did?
Who won the night, Nick? Who's the big winner?
You know what's funny? Because I said it didn't age well.
Yeah.
Buster Douglas.
Me too.
I mean, he is literally in every freaking promo from start to finish. They're mentioning him. They're talking about him. As you talked before, they don't even. Hogan's not calling out Savage. Savage ain't calling out Hogan. They're calling out Buster Douglas. So yeah, I mean, this is bigger for American fans, or as big as him knocking out Tyson, because we didn't see it. Well, maybe some people did, but
that's it. Like you nailed it. Think about this, Nick. Nobody saw it because he was in the middle of the night in Japan. The other thing, this is 1990. You didn't have cable. I didn't have cable. I didn't even have a way to see it. Guess what else I didn't get to see? Sports Center. No. There was no internet. This is literally the first time America got to see this guy and hear from this guy. Beating Mike Tyson is like beating the Terminator, dude.
Yeah.
And now you get to see him. Buster Douglas wins the night.
For us to watch this, we had to go over to Grandma's house.
My grandma didn't have cable either.
I didn't either. I just like the song.
The legacy. Last one, Nick. What's the legacy? This was a tough one.
It almost made me sad watching the show because Randy Savage, Sherry Martel, Mean Gene Okerlund, The Ultimate Warrior, Dino Bravo, The Earthquake. I mean, you go down the list of them, they're gone. They have passed on. There's very few people that participated in this event that are there's less that are with us than aren't, so that's kind of like was a shocker for me. Like I just broke.
Way to bring it down at the end, jerk.
Sorry, man. But I think we should remember these guys. There's some. I mean, when you talk Randy Savage, Sherry Martel. I mean, people don't. I'm sorry, Mean Gene is the greatest announcer in the history of the industry. I can't even talk. I mean, if someone says Tony Schiavone, I'm gonna freaking flip out.
I like big butts and I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny.
I got two things, and I already just said the one, the legacy, is Buster getting introduced to America on wrestling television.
Awesome. Yeah,
I think that's a big thing on this show. The other thing is sad, but it's not the death of the wrestlers. This is the last show of the golden era.
It is.
This is the last Saturday night's main event, whatever, that drew a number. After this, they don't draw numbers anymore. The next main event that comes after this, Sergeant Slaughter, that one got such a bad number, NBC pulled out, and that was it. This is it. This is the last hurrah for the golden era. WrestleMania 6 hits, and then things start to slide after that.
It did take me back, Ryan. Every time I watch these, I try to envision myself and watch them as if I'm 9, 10, 11. It was so fun.
Yeah, I agree with you, dude. I remember that entire day. Everybody talking about, you watching tonight? You kind of come over? Can you stay the night? All that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it was definitely sweet. Good to look back. I have not watched this entire show in a very long time, so it was cool to watch it. We thank all you guys for checking us out. Please check out our social media channels as well. Check everything out on there. If you want to watch some old stuff that we have, you can find it there. Please hit like, hit subscribe.
We have the other main events, the previous two. We've run them back as well. Check them out if you got time.
As always, job guys out.
You smell something, it's us, because we're the stuff.